This doctor brought out a baby out of the mother's womb, removed the tumor from the baby's brain, put the baby back in the mother's womb for the baby to be delivered successfully. This is Dr. Oluyinka Olutoye. Dr. Oluyinka is a doctor at the Nationwide Children's Hospital in Texas, Houston. And this is how he pulled off an impossible feat. A few weeks into the mother's pregnancy, a scan was carried out, to find out the well-being of the child in the womb. That was when doctors found out that there was a growth in the baby's head. A tumor, and this tumor was going to be a big problem when the baby will be born. But after analysis, the doctors found out that the best time to remove the tumor is when the baby was inside the womb, and that would mean that they will bring the baby out of the womb up to 14 to 10 weeks earlier than it should. And the doctors didn't want that because it's not safe for the baby to come out that early out of the womb. It left them with one option: to bring the baby out, remove the tumor, and put the baby back. But how many people could do this safely? Apparently there were not much, because many doctors backed out on the idea. Nobody wanted to risk it. But when Dr. Oluyinka heard about it, he said he could do it. All of you out there, fear Nigerians. What we carry in our head is crazy. Dr. Oluyinka assured the family that this was something that he was able to do. And they took the chance with him, and he did it. He went into the womb, brought out the child, operated on the child that wasn't even born yet, brought out the tumor successfully, put the baby back in the mother. Do you guys understand how crazy this is? This man is a real superhero, and he proved it to us all.
This is the craziest story you're going to hear all week. This Nigerian woman, Dr. Beverly Iyanyor, jumped into action on American Airlines Flight 2694 on September 22nd. And in her latest Instagram post, she details how she delivered a baby 30,000 feet in the air. So on this flight from Guyana to New York, there was an announcement for medical assistance. Dr. Iyanyor, volunteers. She's a pediatrician, but figures she could help wherever possible. The woman in need was experiencing abdominal pain and was pregnant, so Dr. Iyanyor suspected that it was Braxton Hicks. The contractions start getting closer and closer, and that baby is on its way out. Everybody springs into action. There was a physical therapist on that flight who was also able to support. Flight crew did what needs to be done. Mama pushes the baby out, but the baby comes out blue and is not crying. The baby eventually starts crying, and the flight is diverted to the Dominican Republic. Literally, God bless this woman. She's trying to get in touch with the physical therapist and the family. I'm personally invested in seeing this thing through.
A Nigerian doctor changed the world of medicine with just $120. Here's how his invention is saving lives. In 1989, retired Army medical doctor Colonel Ovuyema Ovaje saw a life-threatening problem. Blood transfusions were expensive, complicated, and often unavailable in sub-Saharan Africa. With very limited resources, he invented the Emergency Auto Transfusion System, or the EAT set. A game-changing device that made blood transfusions cheaper, faster, and accessible, even in places with no electricity. By 1994, after only 5 years of research in Lagos, he perfected the device, focusing on reusing a patient's own blood instead of relying solely on blood donors. His invention has saved countless lives and earned awards from the African Union, World Intellectual Property Organization, and more. Yet there are still so many who don't know his name or his story. So let's change that by sharing his story.
This Nigerian doctor just removed a baby from a mother's womb, removed the tumor, and put the baby back inside the mother for the mother to then deliver the baby healthy. At about 26 weeks in their pregnancy, this woman went in for an ultrasound, and her baby was found to have a rare birth defect that was a tumor. Well, the only way for the baby to have that tumor removed was to have the surgery immediately. But for that to happen, that means that she needed to be born 10 weeks, 14 weeks early, which the doctors could just not have. So they had to surgically remove the child from the mother's womb, do surgery on the baby that's not born yet, put the baby back inside the mother, to then have the mother stay with the baby for another 10, 14 weeks until the baby was finally delivered on time at 36 weeks. Some of you may have seen the video I did where the baby that was getting stuck during the delivery was then done a C-section and came out in 2 separate parts. If not, please go back and watch that video. It was a terrible, terrible thing to happen. But this guy can take a baby out that's not born yet, remove a tumor, and put it back in there for that baby to be born perfectly healthy. That guy needs to be teaching all of our doctors about how to deliver babies.
The best doctors in America are Nigerians. You can search it. You know what I'm saying? So even in my label, now the Africans, they bring the best ideas. So that will show you that our imagination is off the grid. things like Netflix, Amazon Prime, they come to Africa to get movie ideas. Yes, now you go on Netflix, you see top 10 movies, even the American Netflix, you see like 2 Nigerian movies there, or like 2 other type of, movies there. But like, Africa is next, like, trust me, like. Yeah. I feel like we have everything, we're just missing like a couple things.
What are we missing?
Africa, man, Nigeria.
Oh, listen, yesterday I shadowed a Nigerian doctor, and when I tell you these IMGs, which are international medical graduates, they're on a different level. I'm not gonna lie to you. So what I did was I went onto the wards and I was trying to like learn from some of the doctors, see some patients, present back to them, and also just like go through some clinical reasoning. So I went onto one of the wards, I saw this doctor and I went up to him, introduced myself, and it was very obvious that he was Nigerian. I'm not going to say his name, but it's very obvious that he was Nigerian, right? So then I started to see patients, but where it became very apparent that this is a different level was when I started to present back to the doctor, and the way he picked out my reasoning, the way he took my level of understanding from here to here, the way he didn't patronize me, but the way he just directed my thinking different. And what I realized is, because afterwards I said to him, look, did you go to school in Nigeria? Which he did. He studied in Nigeria, then he did his exams, came over here. And I said to him, oh, so was it 6 years? And he was like, no, actually it was 7. And the reason why it was 7 is because in Nigeria, sometimes there's these things called strikes where, you might not be in school for a whole year because lecturers are striking, students are striking, etc., etc. So you can have a prolonged period of education, but it instills this level of grit. Like in Nigeria, you can easily be in medical school for 9 years, easy. But the way he conducted himself, you can see that he's done his hard yards. And at the end, we had a bit of a moment because he saw my last name. It's very obvious that, I'm Nigerian too. And it was one of those ones where he was just asking me around from all that stuff. And then, I left. So man, those IMGs, like even from India, a lot of people that I've seen that are not from the UK that come over here to add to the NHS system, bro, their knowledge is up there.
Basically talking about how immigrants come here with less than nothing. They don't speak the language. They work really hard and they get money. Whereas people who were born here speak the language. They just with less hurdles to overcome. They don't make as much money. And this is a point that I've been saying for a long ass time, because honestly, it's embarrassing. Who do you think is one of the most successful immigrant groups in America? It's Nigerians. And the reason why it's really funny is because people always want to talk about systemic racism, this, systemic racism, that. Oh, the system holds black people back, yada, yada. Meanwhile, you have Nigerians who come here, not the ones who are already rich, but you have Nigerians who come here, don't have any money, and yet they make something of themselves. I've said it a million times. If you want to succeed more than anything else in life, nothing short of an act of heaven will stop you from doing so in the best goddamn country in the world. So if you find yourself not succeeding, stop looking outside and start looking inside.
One thing I love about Nigeria too, like compared to Ghana, is that Nigeria is not trying to adjust to the American crowd. We're gonna play Afrobeats. We're not gonna play soca or dancehall to please y'all. It's Afrobeats. The food is spicy. That's how it is. If you don't like it, that's your problem. We're not adjusting to y'all. I love that. I love that. You have to adjust to them. And that's the best thing to me. Very much gives, if you don't like it, don't come. Ghana, we're trying to please this crowd. Oh, we gotta make sure we play this because this kind of crowd is coming. Who cares? What are you here for? To find what you get in the U.S. or to experience the culture?